Okay, there is one more topic, that is the remote sensing. Okay, so let us discuss this topic because it's also mentioned in the syllabus. I will, I'll show you the some of the previous year questions that have been asked about the remote sensing. I'll share them in the PDF later on, but you understand that the questions from this topic, remote sensing, it has been asked directly from the syllabus. Directly means the question will be explain what is remote sensing. The question will be like explain the process or the mechanism of remote sensing or the principle of remote sensing. So the question is direct. I'll share the questions with you, but let us start with the remote sensing. So remote sensing, it's the science and art of obtaining the information about an object, area or phenomenon without coming in direct physical contact. So what is the idea? That the object, the information about the object, what is object? For example, object will be a tree, the forest cover. So these are the objects. The area can be, for example, any desert, it can be any forest. Let's take it's a forest area, for example, urban area. Or any phenomenon, for example, there is a cloud burst, for example, there is landslide. And remote sensing means you are remotely sensing it, you are sensing the information remotely from other area, from other place, without coming in direct physical contact. So how does this happen? This is actually the detection and measuring radiation from earth's surface using sensors mounted on the satellites, aircrafts or the drones. So it is actually you know that earth, we have our earth, there is sun, the rays coming on it, whatever is reflected, our naked eye will perceive this ray, and we will be able to understand and see it. Similar is the case with the remote sensing technology. The light rays that fall on the object, let's take for example, this is a patch of forest, and the light rays which fall on the forest, they are reflected back and radiated back. Some are absorbed, for obviously, but some are reflected back. These reflected radiation are detected by the sensors, and then it is processed into some information. So this is the basic idea. So it is a detection and measuring the radiation from earth's surface using sensors mounted on the satellites, aircrafts and drones. So the energy source, for example, sun is the energy source here, and the target, let's take the target is the forest. The forest, there will be a transmission path. The transmission will be through the air, atmosphere, and this transmitted radiation, it will be detected by the sensors will include, for example, there can be these sensors might be the satellites, they can be the aircrafts, they can be the drones. So what happens once all the transmission data, this is all the radiations that are transmitted into the satellite, it will perceive it, and what will happen later, it will do the processing. So the processing is where there will be a processing station, a proper station where there will be computers and all other devices. They will analyze this data, they will analyze, and then they will put it into the application. So what is the basic principle? As I said, that all of the objects that you see on the earth, they will absorb, transmit and reflect. They will either absorb, they will either transmit or reflect the electromagnetic radiations in a unique way. For example, you have a leaf. The pattern of reflecting or transmitting or absorbing the radiation will be different for a leaf rather than snow. So that is how we can differentiate different types of areas, objects or phenomenon based on the reflected or transmitted or absorbed electromagnetic radiations. And they have a spectral signature. The spectral signature of a open land will be different than that of the land containing the crops. So the sensors, they will capture this energy in various wavelengths that can be visible, infrared or microwave, and then the data will be processed to produce images or numerical data sets for analysis. So this is the idea of, or the basic principle of the the whole remote sensing. The components which are included in the remote sensing is firstly the energy source that we already saw. The sun was the energy source, and this is a passive remote sensing. And second one is the active remote sensing, which includes the radar or the lidar. So this is sensor generated radiation. The sensor will itself generate the radiations. Next is the transmission path. What happens? The atmosphere, it modifies the radiation before it reaches the sensor. We saw that here. I said that the transmission path, it can be the atmosphere. And what happens, the rays that are incoming, they will be different than what is being transmitted, as there will be changes and modifications in the transmission through the transmission path. There will be sensors which can be optical, thermal, radar, the satellites, drones, aircraft, they will be present, and they will detect the energy record, and they will record the radiation coming from the transmission path. There will be a platform that carries the satellite, aircraft, or UAV or balloons, and then there will be data processing and transmission. It will convert the raw sensory data into useful information. Later on, there will be interpretation and the analysis. There will be trained experts who will observe it. Now, what are the different application of the remote sensing? First of all, there is environmental monitoring, whether it be deforestation, desertification, biodiversity tracking. There is observation of agriculture, for example, crop health, irrigation, planning. Disaster management can be done, for example, through the flood mapping, wildfire detection, earthquake impact. The urban planning, that is using the land use mapping. The water resources can be studied by reservoir monitoring, by groundwater mapping. I hope you are understanding these points. Reservoir monitoring is, for example, there is a reservoir somewhere, and then we monitor whether it is being shrinked or it's being expanded. So this is one of the application to observe the water resources. Then there is military and intelligence application, which includes the surveillance and terrain analysis. There is mineral exploration using the remote sensing, as well as identifying the surface mineral deposits. So